room too.
Show one of your candidates.
And that
Quiz them on all kinds of
that one's there, right? So. Or maybe not.
So she said whatever you name her Zoom is what it will be named.
Okay.
So yeah, it's just Facebook. You put like something. I'm just wondering if it'll still go.
Yes, that's the one. Maybe they're just trying to keep each other going here. So there's a Zoom meeting, but that's not the one.
So the Zoom meeting might be
But it's also, maybe I close this one. Maybe I should close this one. Maybe see if I should stop this Alright, so we're being live stream. So I'll change the name of the meeting. Okay, we're moving.
So she said if you find the link on your YouTube and then post that link onto your Facebook, onto Hackers Facebook. So
I'm doing it on YouTube.
or sorry, yeah.
YouTube, so
But
I wasn't doing it on Facebook.
if you add the link on Facebook so people know where to watch it.
next street.
Will it just be the YouTube link at the top or just says .com/watch? So just that, I think.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
But that's.
So Alicia says when you post that link into Facebook, that's what'll pop up for people.
I'm not using Facebook.
No, I know, but that's the only way we can get residents to click on the YouTube is by adding the YouTube link to your Facebook.
I don't do Facebook.
Hackers.
I have no idea if it gets. I don't know what I even use Facebook, so I'm not using it.
So Michael didn't do any of the Facebook stuff. He didn't have access to any. Like, was it Hacker that posted that?
Okay, so YouTube is going. Yeah, well, okay, one person watching. It said one person was watching. That's interesting.
Website. Well,
Wanted to go to that.
yes.
So but it's called Michael Kukhta Zoom, not this one.
Yeah, so that's the problem. Like the link that was sent out to everyone is that one.
So can
So
I
we
change the
need to
name of
get-
it, or maybe I could change it.
But it won't. Even if it changes the link.
Because I can stream it to Facebook.
What's that?
And I can send it to Facebook.
I need another.
Yeah.
Here, sorry. You want to go to Facebook? I do have a Facebook. Okay, there you go. Just let it get up. Yeah. All right. Okay.
Yeah, okay. So much, sorry about you. Okay. Okay, thank you. That's fine. Yeah, no problem. So yeah, if you add the link from this, yep, just copy and paste that. I want to,
That's very interesting. Your face is still. That's strange.
it's just delayed.
Yeah. Okay. I'll try that. I think. Hello there. Sorry, just trying to play with technology and get YouTube going. So it is kind of going, but if anybody's out there, what we did is I posted the link on the Kukhta Facebook page to the YouTube link that I'm using Zoom to get my camera to send to YouTube. Not like it worked at home. So, sorry, so we'll have live sound here. So what I'll do is if there's any folks out there, the Harrington, the Kukhta Facebook page does have the link to the YouTube thing, which is running here. And that camera failed on me today as well. However, we can see the candidates and we'll go from there. So why don't we try to get started?
So the first person we're going to hear from tonight is Karen Hart. The people at the township really care about Karen is Karen for
Oh, Sam. Mute.
that's enough for the Karen. Karen Hart, Director of Corporate Services for the town of Minnesota.
Sam. Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much to HACA for inviting me to speak this evening. So my name is Karen Martin, and I'm the Director of Services in the Township of Sora. And my colleagues and I for the township. So for the upcoming municipal election, municipal school board election, sorry, the township will be utilizing both by internet and telephone. So for the last 4 elections, we utilized vote by mail. And in 2021, township council approved the use of vote by internet and telephone. So township staff have been working diligently on completing our voters list, and all eligible voters on the list for Zora will be mailed a voter identification letter. So this letter, which I do have a copy, is essentially your ballot. So this is what will come in the mail to all eligible voters. And it will come in an envelope which says election information enclosed. So the voter identification letters will be mailed by Canada Post the end of September to all voters. And voting begins October 13th and runs through to the end of election day, October 24th at 8 p.m. So on the voter identification letter, there is a PIN that's specific to each individual voter. And that PIN and your date of birth are what allow you access to vote. So during the time period, you're able to vote from the comfort of your home using a laptop, a tablet, a cell phone, a landline phone. So please note that the voter identification items for anyone eligible to vote for Ward 2 or Ward 3 councilors will only show the school board trustee on your ballot, since Ward 2 and 3 councilors have been appointed. The mayor and the French separate and the French public school board trustees have also been appointed and do not require votes. Township staff will be available at the township office to provide support or to provide an accessible area to vote if you're unable to vote at home. Also, township staff will be hosting 2 voter help centers. The first will be on October 15th at the Ambrose Zora Community Center from 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. And the second will be at the Chelmsford Library on October 22nd from 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. And a laptop and a telephone will be available at these sections. If you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to contact me at the township office. I'd love to stop business cards at the back take on the table for anyone that requires my contact information. So thank you and enjoy the rest of the evening.
Karen, I'll take a question.
You Sam.
Does anybody have a question for Karen? I have to.
Okay.
So in the letter that you sent out, will it specify which school board?
It does. Yes, it says your school board and it lists the candidates that you are able to vote for. And it, if you're French, also lists the date.
And the second is being something that's interested in will be a published voters list.
Yes, we have it available at the time of office. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Yep, there we go. Okay, no, washrooms are downstairs if you need them. You have refreshments at the back. We haven't particularly scheduled a break, but I think between the different groups of speakers or candidates speaking, help yourself to the back and have some snacks.
And thank you, Karen, for solving our tech problem.
Yes, I want to thank once again. It just it's a very something that I've noticed with the town. 4 years ago, I was up there, and now I'm down here, enjoying it here. And one thing is, we This is typical of what I found fairly new to the township. We had a problem and someone from the township showed up, telephone happened, Alicia was at the other end, was buttons going and not perfect, but we're going in live. And just like that. So I want to thank the township for the support and also helping us make this work. Thank you, the township. Thank you. Again, thank you. All right. All right, Sam. Now, there is a special feature though in this software that when a bad pun comes by, it just might kick it out. So, but other than that, thank you for coming to the event tonight. And Sam, moderator, would you take it away?
So before we start with the candidates, I want to express my appreciation and share the appreciation of all action for the candidates for you guys for putting these forward. We know we've been watching for years now the kind of stuff that elected officials have to do. Quite amazing that you all coming forward. They have their community. Thank you. And we'll start with the two candidates for the one position for the London District School Board. Whoever is elected will be representing all of Oxford, not Oxford. And Anna, is your last name pronounced Alves? Is that right? I got that right? Anna Paula Alves. And if you'll come up and it might take a minute to get your mics adjusted. That's why we have mic here.
Oh, boot! You got You might have to just pull it towards you there.
So the way we're structuring things during each you're either for or against. It'll begin with the people speaking in alphabetical order by last name, doing it one up to 1 minute questions, and then closing with a 1 minute final statement in reversal.
Yep.
No. Oh. So my name is Anna Paula. I'm an immigrant to this country of 35 years. I went to school in CC and I graduated and I went to College of National College and I told you about college. I did a numerous amount of different certificates and diplomas, but in the last 18 plus years, I've been working as a child advocate and case manager for children with special complex problems. So I spend a lot of time on behalf of children, young adults, and in my early years, older and seniors in different systems. So I advocate at hospitals, I advocate in schools for Catholic and public. I advocate communities, families required to advocate on behalf of them.
They're not more, they are tiny. And when a minute is up, you're ready for it.
May I stand?
should get you there.
And I never read on any of this that it's a 1 minute. So now I'm gonna have to scratch it over here. Ready?
Well, maybe somebody on.
Okay. Greetings, everybody. My name is Mary Holmes, and I'm very thrilled to be here. I think from the Canadian Greeks here, you know, it's a wonderful place. It was going to be one. It's great. And where else can it be better than Harrington? And I met the man after whom this is named. But his first choice is built up an exceptional educational system. However, I have to say that it's been a little bit, it's been challenged a lot, and we need to have some growth, some creative answers, and some real fixes. And I think that you understand why it's been so trying over the last 3 years. But now we need to go all hands on deck. And you need somebody that has perspective, and I have the perspective of 1,000 volts saturation, but I've lived and worked in every particular position in education. I have the experience, the education, I have my master's.
You guys, it's not what you said, what else did you have?
Really?
Yes.
That would be awesome. Okay, I just wanted to say that I have the perspective of every possible position. Mother, grandmother now, and I've been a trustee. This will be my 3rd term if I'm reelected. And I've been an administrator at the board office where I've dealt with 56 schools at one time. And I am passionate about education. I'm a lifelong learner who never through a day of classes to learn and pass on to my kids and grandkids. But I'm just saying, we all need to look at what's out there. Critical thinking skills is what absolutely teaches us to listen to themselves now. Otherwise, our future thing. We're watching it all over the world. This is not a good time. Our kids are languishing. They're unmotivated. And although we have everything in place, we're short of the kinds of things we need to get into differentiate instruction, be flexible, and to deal with things that calm down, return to a thriving life as a lifelong learner. And
More questions. Make these people explain.
I'm not a Catholic elector, but I have a question which I think is appropriate to candidates for both boards. The particular difference you see regarding rural versus urban schools. There's been quite a bit in our local news regarding the public board. Are there similar issues, or what are the issues that distinguish our needs, our problems here from the urban schools?
For both, yes.
So you're right, there are. Significant issues with the rules. We have a lot of schools, so I think years ago, the rural task force was in place to look at things and the schools that were closing and the schools that were not open, and we shift out of our counties and into urban settings, leaving them to be on buses for well over an hour. Some cases, 5 to 6 years. Some people might think, oh, what's an hour? But when you think of 2 hours a day that you're on a bus, that means less 2 hours to do home, less 2 hours to do community activities, sports, music, arts. There are many things that you miss out as a child, a student, if you're on the bus. Over an hour to So it is one of the things that our numbers are low in the district, and in the county.
Yes, very much what you said. Although our particular board does not have rural schools, we do have rural students who come to schools. So we are always interested. Can they do their homework? Is there technology, not broadband for them to access, especially when there's homework and work have to do with distance learning. So I know that that has come a long way. A little bit further with that. I think that we do need to look at numbers of kids in the school and to see how, with the expanding population that we have, which is a critical feature right now, set same areas of school, we have expanding presence in the rest of the county, so we could have a little bit, and I think it's a wonderful thing to cut down busing times for all of us. Totally agree. It's something that's a no. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm a voter. Do I have to say my name?
I don't know, what are the
Doesn't
rules?
matter.
Doesn't matter. Okay. My name's Katie. I'm a Ward 2 counselor in Star Township. So as a municipally elected official, we've had a chance of developing, looking at a community safety and well-being. And this community safety and well-being plan makes a clear case for the important and urgent need for our children and youth to feel included and accepted. The London District Catholic School Board does not fly a pride or progressive flag as our Thames Valley District School Board schools do. Well, we don't have any London District Catholic School Board schools in Zora Township. We absolutely have children being bused out of the township to attend schools in other municipalities. I would like each candidate to answer, what is your position on flying pride or progressive flag at our schools? Sorry, at Catholic schools.
Thank you. This is a current discussion going on. There is the bulk of the responses have been toward doing something for showing pride. The decision right now is to do it in lights at the board office light, and then that so during pride lights being shone on board office, and then eventually we could get it spread out from schools. There was some attention about the flags because we don't have extra flags and talk about different flags. We're going to always have to be kind of present because this is a very sort of popular thing to do. So we have to deal with that technical part of it. But nobody is against flying.
I feel there's no question. So much like Mary said, what can be done is something outside of the parents and trustees. However, we do have and dialogue for the inclusion of all within the county. And I know that you said that we don't have full schools, but Knox County is actually considered rural. It's not considered like urban. And so our children are considered rural. So all children should have it. So one thing sometimes done, I think outside of the box. And so sometimes different set of eyes, different people at the table can have different discussions. And that's what we'll do in these discussions to really see the reality and not all the
Do your final minute. Are you ready?
I have extensive education and it's in the educational sphere in every possible. I've taught at every single level in the school system from primary, elementary, all the way to secondary, post-secondary, college level. And university. I know how classes work. I know how systems work, and I am the kind of person who enjoys the thrill of getting somebody else to see things that they haven't seen it already. That's what I do. Talk to anybody. I am that person on the board. I will not give up that dog's bone until the dog has admitted that what I'm saying carries the truth. This is all part of the critical thinking, the explicit teaching. We must prioritize it by students and hopefully to their parents at this point in time and help to make this world a better place.
And I don't for a long time. My daughter has been advocating outside the homes. But the problem is I sit on one side of the table and those that make decisions on the other. And I want to be on the other side where decisions get made and things get done. And schools don't get in our county and our children don't get fast into urban settings. That is what I know.
Okay.
Thank you.
Please, Sandy, pick up 3 more votes. Thank you.
We're actually ready to tell the people who are up here.
We have 3 people.
We have 3 people watching. Have you got any questions yet?
That's one of the emails. See if it's coming.
Ready? Wait.
Yeah, so just a moment. There's again.
Can you hear me?
There you go. All right. And could you check with yours?
Check.
And yours?
Check.
There we go. All right.
Everybody agree? So the next group are the three candidates for the two positions on the Thames Valley District School Board. As with the Catholic Board, the two people will be representing all of Oxford, not just Florida. We'll proceed first up. So, Alan, you move it. My name is Alan. I'm from English. Married to 4 children, 3 of which still attend Valley schools. Working with education life. As everyone's well aware, in the past few years, more than that, there seems to be a growing between rural and urban. And it seems like in the past that most of what was decided with the trustees in our area were the London one. I believe it's time for our representation. I believe it's time for the rural, the trustees to Oxford and not out of the city. Now they're David Cripps.
Everyone, David Cripps. I'd like to thank Hacker and everyone that is attending tonight. I'm a TPESB trustee. First and foremost, I'm a dad. I have 4 boys. My youngest just graduated from my last year and headed up to college. I am looking to bring a level of collaboration back to the board, which should foster good governance, great communication, both among trustees of school board administration, most importantly back to our communities. I want to work with the individual schools in Oxford, understand everything that's going on, work with the municipalities to understand how our growth is being impacted or needs to be adjusted. I want to work on the project so that build schools or open schools at the wrong time and make sure what's going on and communicate that back out. I have personal history at the school there. We started a number of home school associations.
Good evening. I am with Thanks for coming out, and I am candidate for the Thames Valley District School Board, and I'm pleased to be here to meet you all. I also would like to take the time to thank the Harrington and Area Community Association for putting on this event and the audience that have came today or at home to participate. I appreciate that. I'm a working mom, raising 4 children here in Zora Township, all of which are at the elementary school level, who over the years have had many concerns with public education and the representation of the communities of Oxford County. My intent is to build strong relationships with parents, students, and overall communities of Oxford, as well as be that strong voice for Oxford County. As my candidates, my other candidates here sitting beside me have made note of is
and now we get the quiz. It's sort of like a test, isn't it?
You are running? First, I'd like to thank you for your intention to serve our county. It's appreciated. So, based on your board or any experience, because you all have children, what is the first or main reason or what would you like to see improved? Or what would you like to see put into our school system?
And start with again. So what I'd like to see is better representation at a board level. I'd like to see more accountability, more accessibility. I'd like, if you're gonna email your trustee, they're not just gonna leave it at the bottom of your email basket and answer and get back to you. As for schools, I'd like to see more choice in programming for, especially at the high school level. You know, there's programs at the city schools offer that they won't offer here, but yet they'll open it up to everybody and say, yeah, everyone board can go to it, but unless you can get the bus or your own way in, then you're out of luck. So it's one big thing I'd like to see change, and hopefully if elected, I can work on making that happen. Mr. Cripps?
I think I can echo Seth's response. I think the biggest thing that I'd like to see change is open communication and collaboration. Especially over the last couple of years, there's been communication coming from the board that's been misconstrued, sometimes flat out potentially wrong. I want to rebuild the relationships between the boards and the partners, like the communities, the parents, the students, the teachers, and make sure that the information is accessible to everyone. We're a very large board, it's $1 billion budget. It's very difficult to find and sift through all the policy information that's out there. So we want to figure out a way and work with the other board and the administration to make sure that that information is available to people. Make sure it's simplified, accessible, and digestible, so that we can move things forward together instead of getting locked in these little adversarial things that happen. From Oxford's perspective, I'd like to see us enhance the communication outward of all the positive things that happen in their school. The board's done a good job.
Thank you, Dave. Yeah.
So again, I would like to echo what my fellow candidates have said. I agree with what's been said in response to this question. I felt over the years, going and attending board meetings, speaking to community members and families within my community, that there's been a lack of open communication and dialogue and someone to represent them strongly at the board level. And that's what I plan to do. I might not always have the answers, but I'm willing to put the time and effort to find that for the individuals. I do believe there's a lot of trust between the community or the public with the board, within the board of trustees, and as well trustees with the board. So there's a lot of relationship building that's needing to happen, and I'm hoping to be able to be a part of that, mending some of those relationships, so we can come up with some better decisions that'll have a positive impact with our students.
Thank you. More questions?
Hello, my name's Allison Hayes, and I thank you all for running. I appreciate that. You all seem like very lovely people, and you seem to have similar ideas, but why should I vote for you as opposed to the other candidates in whatever time, minute?
You start, Dave, and then the end.
All right. Well, I think, first of all, just voting is important. The trustee role is part of our democracy. It's one of the oldest democratic positions available. From my perspective, I have over 20 years of experience within the board. As a parent, as a volunteer, I sat on the TV PIC organization in London, so I've been close to board policy before. Like Leanne, I've attended many board meetings. I also have very deep roots in my community, so lots of relationships with both the town of Ingersoll and folks at the other municipalities in Oxford. And by nature, I'm a collaborative person. I think that I can right the ship when it comes to some of the governance issues that we've seen. And as we've all said, I really feel that I can make a difference with communication, getting closer back to our communities, back to the people, so that everybody knows what's going on. And that's my one main commitment, is to be open and accessible to everyone in Oxford that has a seat at the table with the TBDSP.
Yeah.
All right. Well, first of all, one of my reasons for running is my passion to serve others and my community. From a very young age, I've always involved myself into volunteer opportunities. As a parent, I became involved with our home and school as soon as my first child was part of that school community, where I served as 3 years as volunteer coordinator and then 2 years as the president of that organization. Also at that time, I moved on to be the chair of the local Zora school committee, where we develop a retention plan so that would help us save our school closures within our township. So I've been able to get things done through those community or committees for our communities so far, and I intend to continue that momentum in that role. I also have an investment. I have 4 children within the school board, and I can see, even from my past experience as an educator, that we are failing those students. We need better support and we need the resources to get to them.
That's it. So, as everyone else has said, you know, being involved, community past, community involvement, I've been involved with a couple of previous schools, parents associations. I enjoy problem solving, advocating for people. I've done that in the past. But when you're sold at their new boundaries, I advocated for several parents that had issues with the proposals. I enjoy trying to find common ground. I enjoy finding answers for people. I enjoy all that. What I will say is that if I don't know the answer to something, I won't just give you something just to make you happy. I'll tell you I don't know, but I will look into it and I'll find out and I'll go back to you. And the other thing,
I'll give you another question.
I have 2.
Oh, no, it's wearing a mask.
Yeah, sorry, that's me. I'm a master. Hi, I'm Karen Sample. I live in Zora Township. Actually, not involved in the school system, so it's unusual for me to ask a question, but I have 2 questions. One is, where do you live within Oxford County? And my second question is, what is your position on the closure of rural schools? I really want to hear the answer.
That second part was on the closure of rural schools?
Yes, we've gone through a fight here and it's been alluded to, but I want to know if there's another issue that arises, what's your position going to be and what are you going to do? How are you going to address that?
So Leanne, you go first this time.
Sure. So to answer your first question, I live in Zora Township. My mailing address is Tempsford, but my children go to Zora Highland. So we're really rural, and my husband grew up in this area, just in Medina. And so when my husband and I were deciding to move and where we wanted to raise our children, we both agreed it was rural, and we wanted our children to attend rural school because we believe there are beliefs and values and a community atmosphere that we want our children to be involved with. And as I said earlier, being part of the Zora local school committee, I was part of making that retention plan so our schools could be saved when and if a board decides that there's closure to happen, we have a plan there for those to stay in our communities.
Seth?
so I live in Result, so I haven't been through having a, well, that was through the Ingersoll review when they did that like 10, 11 years ago. But no, I don't believe that we should ever close a rural school. I have many friends in Norwich that still to this day despise Thames Valley for what they did with the high school there. In fact, I know many of them, once it became an option to send their kid out of the district to Delhi, they did it just to say, you didn't listen to us, you told us you weren't going to close it, and then when the vote came, you voted to close it. So what makes us believe you'll listen to us? So that's, to me, rural school is the lifeblood of the community, and to pull it away.
Thank you for that awesome question. So I currently live in Ingersoll. I started growing up in Tempsford, and I spent my formative years growing up in Southwest Oxford, milking many cows and Fulton's and Mount Open. When it comes to rural schools, I believe they are central to our rural neighborhoods, and that goes, from a small place like Tempsford right up to a town like Ingersoll and Woodstock. They are central to our communities. And one of the commitments that I'm making is I'm going to extend invites out to all the schools for me and hopefully my other Oxford successful trustee to start building the cases around why and how these schools are important to our communities in Oxford and protect them that way. On a super positive note, we are coming up to a different time than how it's been for the last 15 years. An influx of population into our counties, in Woodstock, Ingersoll, and surrounding areas. Knock on wood, I'm hoping that we're not going to be having a conversation about closing schools over the next little while and actually start to look at building something.
Thank you.
Question time. Well, I'm gonna ask you a question. This is me talking, not the moderator. The kids in this area go to high school in St. Mary's or Woods or Stratford. And in terms of, I personally see that as presenting a challenge of keeping them engaged with the community. Do you have any ideas, or would you any thoughts on how we could work together to address that problem, if you agree that there is one? So start again with Seth.
So, to answer your question, I was a volunteer that went out of there because when I remember in high school, there's a lot of them that were from this area that went to Ingersoll or Woodstock, depending on whereabouts you were the boundary line. I don't see why, as a school board, why we can't have, if you're in our area, why they can't attend our schools. Just I agree with it. If you're going to school in, say, St. Mary's or Stratford, you're more involved with that area than you're here. And I agree, it's something we need to work on and find a solution to.
Thank you, David.
So the first thing I'm going to make a comment from my experience. One of the most detrimental things that my boys experienced when they were growing up was when they did the boundary adjustment in Ingersoll. One of my sons actually lost almost his entire friend base in grade 3, incredibly harmful as a young man at that age. So the board needs to be very, very careful with looking at things like that and making adjustments. To answer your question, Sam, I think there's a huge opportunity for the high schools where there's many feeder communities to again work closer with those communities. There's an excellent hall here. Why can't the high school hold some events in the community and have the students do a presentation? High schools have all kinds of specialized programs. We've got the orchestra come down here and play, have them engage that way. The science classes could come down here and participate in something that's going on base with great organizations like HACA to support that sort of initiative. The world, there's endless opportunities to bring communities back to high schools, even though in some cases we're saying.
Thank you. Leanne?
First of all, I would like to say that was a great suggestion there, David, and to go on with that is, I think, as rural trustees, we could encourage those high schools to come out to these communities where students attend. But I also believe that something like this starts at the home, and encouraging to be part of a community and being part of events that are hosted within these communities to continue that stronghold in these communities. So that would be another thing. I know, speaking to some parents that are on these borders, we've lost a few students already in 7 and 8 to go to Central High School in Stratford, and it comes down to that, and it's a bit more of a personal choice. It's sad to see them go, But to some, it's that stress that we're talking about busing. It is closer for some of those families to attend there. But I do believe through parents, we can model some things, and that's how they're going to also stay connected with these communities that they live in.
Thank you. So somebody please ask a question, so.
I grew up in another province. I grew up in Quebec, and I'll be quite honest. I have always looked at the Ontario school system and shaken my head. I do not have any understanding why we need so many levels of bureaucracy and why I need to vote for local trustees and payment of local trustees. I'll be honest, it's not like this in Quebec. I've always just shaken my head. So, another difference is that in the Quebec school system, like you hear from time to time. So my question there is, how efficient do you actually think our school system is? And do you honestly believe this is the best system? And as further to that is, like, I know you're elected to represent Oxford County, but really that means we need to look at the overall system too, not just preserving what is. So what ideas do you have and think we should look at in Ontario to improve this whole system? I'll give you one example too that I just remember from my own days in high school. When I went to school, like I hear about how people fare across the province periodically. Every year in high school, we wrote provincial exams at a provincial level, and it was a provincial curriculum. And we got results that told us exactly where we were, what percentile we were in versus every other student in that province. And I mean, that was a disturbingly long number of decades ago. To my knowledge, we don't have that in Ontario.
So that's over a minute. But
Sorry.
Ding.
Perspectives, but that was one example, right?
So start with Seth, with your turn. So to answer your question about the provincial testing, I know they have the provincial standards, the EQA, I know that's for certain grades, not every grade, so that doesn't necessarily help. And I know right now that they're talking about, because of the last few years now, they don't want to have year-end semester-end exams.
Yes.
And I think they're doing a disservice to these kids, because when they go off to university, guess what? You're gonna read an exam at the end, and if you've never written an exam before in your life, good luck to you. As for the whole schoolwork thing, yeah, I agree. This comes out, it's way too big, and there's a lot of duplicity and a lot of waste. And back in the old days, before they amalgamate, every county had their own. David?
So I think I'll invite you to a coffee, because this probably requires a 2-hour answer. First and foremost, I would be loath to take the elected trustee at the local level out of the equation. I have great fear that having the Ministry of Education run everything feel like it's being run out of Toronto, and it'll just further erode our rural urban issues that we have today. Can it be better? Can it be more efficient? 100% absolutely. Do I have all those answers in the 22 seconds I have left? No. When it comes to standardization and doing things at the provincial level, since I graduated from high school, over the last 25 years, a lot of that stuff's already been elevated under the guise, I think, of trying to find efficiencies, and it doesn't always work out. I don't necessarily think that we need more school boards. We have to make sure the representation and voices are heard, and that we go about things with good governance, good financial management, and the right staff in place to support that.
Yeah.
All right, so further that, I do believe that we need a different model of governance for our school boards. What that model looks like, I'm not 100% sure. There's a couple ideas that are go back to our municipalities or a county level, and it might be just an education department where there's staff, lesser staff than what is currently on the board. But again, as David said, there's a lot of discussion around that, and I unfortunately only have 1 minute. Provincial standard testing, this, as a student and as an educator, I waver on. I do believe that if we trust in our educators, they know their students and where they're sitting at and what they're excelling at and what they can do better in. And a lot of these testing situations, especially for our younger students, put a lot of stress and pressure on them. And a lot of teachers then are taking time to teach to these exams, and that's not what they should be doing either.
Thank you. And we can do one more question before they sum up, or they can sum up now, but somebody should ask another question. Not Karen.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry, I'm not supposed to do that.
Usually I'm so quiet.
Okay, summing up time. Leanne goes first.
Okay, no, I can't even know regarding the others.
Sorry?
As
Sure, you're sure. Ask a question.
So, given that I'm a candidate running for the Catholic School Board, do you think there will ever come a time, or do you think that it would be feasible or possible for boards that do the same thing to work more collaboratively together? Because I don't think there's much collaboration right now between the Thames Valley and the Catholic School Boards. And I want to know, what is your perspective on becoming more collaborative, sitting together and having conversations about how we manage the rural versus urban sort of situations that we're all going to be facing?
Thank you for that question. You start, David.
I start. Okay. On the collaboration question, I think it's 100%. We already met Mary tonight. I'd love to chat with you guys, and I would love to go through next term with whoever's elected and do things together. Going back to the efficiency question, I believe that we could have a Catholic and a public curriculum working side by side, and perhaps get efficiencies from use of buildings. That's something really big picture, something that we could look at without having an erosion of the perception between two school boards, or getting rid of or amalgamating two school boards. And there's steps we can take to get there. It's all about the kids. Our kids are all the future, and whatever we can do to support them, I think is the most important thing to move forward. So the more people that can help do that together, the more like-minded individuals that will collaborate and communicate, the better off we'll all be, and I'm 100% behind.
Thank you. Leanne?
Great. I believe also that collaboration is key as well. Even just within our municipalities as well, that has not been a very good partnership between our boards as well. But talking to a bus driver in the last recent, they're like, why is there not consistency as a bus driver? The Catholic board, I have to wait till they're in grade 1 to be after grade 1 to drop them off at their home, or the public school system. So there's, when we share some resources, there's some inconsistencies that also put people lingering of how they should approach or move forward on things. So I also believe collaborating with others, you learn and you grow and you see a different perspective, and you become a critical thinker and challenge the way you might think, and may learn something as you go, and that again will benefit our students in the end.
Thank you. Sam?
Yeah, I'm totally for collaborating with not just the Catholic board, but with all of our municipal stakeholders, and let's work together to make things better for not just our own boards, but for everybody. As far as I know, the only collaboration now is a school and high school instructor, where they both share the property and the building, but beyond that, as far as there isn't any. And you know, maybe that'd be an idea. You know, with the population boom, why not combine maybe see about sharing a building? You know, cut down costs for everybody and be more efficient. Do I see a day where They nominate both? Yeah, maybe, it could happen.
Thank you. Summing up, starting with Leanne, David, then Sarah.
All right, again, I'm Leanne Hawkins, Public School Board Trustee candidate. I've always had the passion to serve others in my community. As your next Thames Valley District School Board Trustee, I would dedicate myself to representing and advocating Oxford County communities and ensuring that your elected officials are the ones making the decisions that are best for your students and the communities that they live in. Thank you.
So I'm David Cripps, David Edward Cripps on the ballot, in case you're interested. As your trustee, like I said, I want to bring collaboration, communication, and heightened sense of community back to all of our schools. I want to be there to support all of my constituents, plus the other stakeholders. So somebody mentioned they were a voter with no kids. I still want to hear from you. I'm happy to do that, and I make sure I'm accessible to that. I want to work with our schools to build plans and justify why our school communities are so important in Oxford and how they're different from perhaps other areas of the board, and then share that back with everyone so that everyone knows the value they bring. I'm here all night, happy to answer questions, happy to have coffee anytime, don't hesitate to reach out.
So now, again, I'm for trustee for Thames Valley. I believe that we need to bring better representation back to Oxford and be able to stand up for rural issues better than the current and past trustees have. I believe that we need to repair relationships with the municipalities that I think have been really ignored the last 4 years, maybe longer. I just think we just need to work together with everybody in a common goal that promotes student success and not continue the way that we're going. That's it.
Now, that's the end of this panel. And I'm going to exercise my prerogative as a moderator and say we're going to have a break, even though it's not scary.
I switched to a different one. So I had $70 wanted to leave it. It feels odd because if they're not in the room, what's going on up there? So you can move those things around. These are not like those ones at the town. We're live all the time. Is yours okay that you're pulling up for? Here we go. Should be good to go, Sam.
Everybody's ready? Everybody's ready?
Yeah.
So the same.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, that was me. Go ahead.
I guess they want me to not talk to them. Kukhta, you go first.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Crystal Finch, and I just grew up just north of Enbro on a hobby farm. And now my husband and I live in the village of Enbro, raising our 3 children. I work in long-term care and have been at my place of employment for 19 years. A few years ago, I and some of my fellow community members formed a splashback committee, and this summer had our very. It was amazing to see all of our hard work come into place. I also became an advocate for a much needed crosswalk in Village of Enbro. From these experiences, I realized I want to do more, not just for the Village of Enbro, but for all of the Zora community. And what better way than to run for Ward 4 councillor? Thank you for your time.
You done? I didn't hear it go. Steve?
Works. Hi, everyone. I'm Steve McDonald. I am the current councillor for Ward 4, and I'm looking forward to re-election. So I'm up here tonight just to say that I served for 4 years, and one of those 4 years was as deputy mayor. I've got a bit of experience to come now. Still don't know everything. But over the past 4 years, I've participated on council and supported and voted for. We've accomplished a great many things over the past 4 years. And just a handful of them is like saying no to high-speed rail, no to the landfill. building, or the biggest land transfer and purchase in Thamesford, ever in Township's history down in Thamesford. And we got our new public workshop going up over in Tor. Okay, thank you.
And Emily Martosa.
Good job, nice to done with the name. Good evening and thank you for coming out. My name is Emily Montoso and I'm running for councillor representing 5 residents of Zora Township Ward 1. For those of you who don't already know me, here's a quick background. My husband and I moved to Zora in 2016. We both grew up in small farming communities and knew right away this was the place we wanted to raise our 3 children. Since joining this community, I've had the opportunity to do my part by co-chairing the fundraising committee that just brought a splash pad to Embro. I am the president of the Zora Home and School Foundation, member of the parent council, and recently became a board member at the Zora Skating Club. I am a strong believer in community. I know that small communities have specific needs and require a strong and principled person to represent those needs. I would like to be that person, and with your vote, you'll know that you've got someone on your side. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thanks. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. I'm Kevin Stewart. I'm a longtime resident of Zora Township. I grew up as well on a hobby farm just outside of Thamesford. My parents still live there. Both my parents grew up in this township as well, and so it means an awful lot to me. My wife and 2 kids who go to TPS there enjoy everything there is to live about living in Thamesford and the Zora area. By myself, I'm in the construction field. I'm a construction manager for Ellis Dawn, sort of a local company, and I want to bring a lot of what I've learned over the years in my 15 years there back to this community and make it better for our community, especially as we continue to grow.
Thank you. I wonder if anybody has any questions, or you're just gonna sit here and look at each other. Huh?
Well, that happens.
Yes, you are, if you keep it under a minute.
Should be on. Okay, my name is Doug Matheson. Lived just down the road here. I am a dairy farmer, ex-dairy farmer. And my question relates to the preservation of farmland. I guess I'd like to know your opinions and your strategies toward keeping agricultural farmland here in Zora Township. I personally believe, and others do as well, we've got some of the best farmland anywhere in the world. And at the same time, we need to keep some people in the countryside here to operate those farms. And so I'd like to know what your opinions are on that.
And that's for everybody, I presume. Steve, you can go first. We'll cover that.
Okay, that's one of the big things on my personal to-do list. My strategy is we got to preserve the farmland. We also have to prepare for more population growth in our villages. You can't have both without changing a lot of things, and that means punching up to the county planning and the provincial levels for bylaws, building codes, zoning laws changed and updated from the old 1960s, 1970s rules, so that we can get more denser housing in the established footprint of the village boundaries without chewing up thousands of other acres for houses. And we got to start doing that soon. And that also includes building up, not out, in Thamesford and Embro, which means getting permission to go up over a couple of stories for apartment buildings, putting more families on the footprint that's smaller.
Thank you.
Since moving here, that is like the #1 thing that I've heard from the residents of Zora. It's always a consideration, and it's really, really important about preserving farmland. I agree with Steve that we need to think outside the box, finding other ways for housing. That includes building upwards, lots of townhouses, row housing, apartment buildings, and
such. You know that this will be a huge concern for Ward 1 since it's mostly farmland.
Yeah, I think densification, right, that's kind of common theme. Within the villages, we have to look at creative ways to keep the sprawl from happening. I know it's going to happen faster than it ever has. I think we can set some limits as to what a town could grow to in the next 10, 15 years, the different villages within this valley. As well as look at, to me, I see a lot of old gravel pits that don't really return to fertile farmland as well. I think we should start talking about that as well and see after we use up that resource, how do we make sure that that doesn't get developed into, and right around the villages in some cases, developed into you know, new subdivision rather than bring it back to farmland like it once was.
Krista?
I can echo the rest of these guys. I'm very passionate about keeping our farmland strong and keeping the density in our villages. And again, going higher instead of going up.
More questions? Sure.
Hello, I'm Sharon Smith, and thank you for serving. I live in the gravel road, 35th line, and I know as farmers enlarge or buy up more agricultural land, which is great. What is your position on those houses that usually are rented out? And because they're rented, they don't have the same care. And well, I have one property in our road, they haven't cut the grass the whole season. And there's also another house on 96 that is a safety hazard. So what is your position on what those houses that are left over from the land that the farmers need?
We start with Emily this time.
Thank you for the question. It's a good one. That is something that I don't know much about, and I can honestly say that, but I would definitely look for the answers and work to figure things out. But I would assume that's what our bylaws are there for, to make sure that things are kept up, kept well, and grass is cut. And I hope that I could help to make sure that continues to happen.
Yeah, growing up in and now living in century-old farmhouses, they mean a lot. And the number one thing is that I can't agree to ever see something like that let go, no matter how unmaintained it might become. And that's a big thing with bigger farms. Obviously, they're buying up hundreds of acres at a time, and what do we do with these surplus dwellings? But for sure, like Emily said, bylaw enforcement, if there are issues of that nature, certainly is the number one thing we should be able to do. But for sure, do not want to see them go. That's really important.
Krista?
I feel like we get, again, the same. Reaching out to your bylaws and getting a hold of them to get a hold of the owner of the property would be the way to go about that. And if not, then that's when you call on us as ward councillors to come and help you deal with that.
Steve?
Well, it's gonna sound like echoing the rest, but it sounds to me like it's nothing more than bylaw enforcement. There are rules and regs for letting your grass grow up into the weeds and all this kind of stuff. And if the house is deemed a safety hazard, that's up to them to decide. So you need to notify them. They don't run around and drive around the township looking for themselves.
I would like to clarify that where I was leading to is having the farmers be able to sever that house with their little, with an acreage, so that an owner would take more pride in maintaining that property. And I'm sure there's bylaws, but I don't see that happening anywhere near me.
So the question is about severance?
Yeah, protect the house.
So you want to make another stab at it as quickly as
Absolutely. I live in an old funeral home and I saved her from being owned. I feel exactly the same way. they should be able to be severed, so that people can live in them. We always need housing, so if there's houses available that people can be in, we should utilize that, so we're not taking over property.
Yeah, I know there are other municipalities that have already gone that direction, mainly to save these old structures and to, a long time ago, I think the idea was all these 1 acre, 2 acre lots. We'd rather pull everybody into the city, get the services there. The reality is now that the family farm that we once knew it is not the 100-acre farm anymore, but most farmers are buying up hundreds at a time. I see it up in Perth County. There is a lot more of a structure in place to sever those properties off. My wife's family's from up there, and there are farmers who own thousands upon thousands of acres in that area as well. And I think they've done a good job, but it's #1 priority definitely to maintain them. And I agree that the best way to do that would be to sever them off and take pride in them.
Krista?
Yeah, I'm not sure what policies are right now in place, but I agree with these guys again. And hopefully that's something we can look into for you.
The rules are already in place to allow the owners to do that, sever it off, as long as that house is sitting on a large enough acreage, and I believe 75 acres, that can be severed off. And that's basically, we need to come to council to be okay, that the county say, yep, and we just give it the rubber stamp.
Several comment on severance.
Did you say 75 acres?
But that's off the top of my head. I think that's what, like, if it was sitting on 5 acres, no. If it's sitting on 10 acres, no. But when you're up in a large enough acreage, or if you decide on either side of them wants to take it over, yeah, then it can be done. Under existing legislation.
Moving on to the next question. Mr. Harry, person after whom the village is named.
My questions for both Crystal and Emily. Was it something in your splash pad experience that caused the two of you at the same time to say, we need to get involved in council? What is it about your splash pad experience? Or was it, maybe it came from something else, but here you are, two splash pad veterans. Do you share an agenda?
First, you go first, and then he asked if the two of you share an agenda in the shared experience with the splash pad.
Honestly, if you were to ask me 4 years ago if I would be sitting here doing this, the answer would be crazy no. Doing the splash pad, it was fun and interesting to work with all the ward members and the mayor to see how we get these things in place and how we get a splash pad in the community. And it just kind of intrigued us to me to want to do more and see what else I can bring to the community.
As when we did the splash pad, what I learned is we got to go to council more and more, and I found that I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the whole process, how things were done. And then one day I found out that Ward 1 was not being represented. I could not let that happen. Every ward should be represented, and I just decided to go for it. But I wouldn't have been here. I don't think if I hadn't done the splash pad, because I would have gotten more involved.
Follow-up question. Yeah, I'll be honest, I was trying to get you to say something about a negative experience that you had in trying to get this going with council or staff, but neither of you said that, so thank you.
What was the question?
While I'm up here, then I'll shut up. Excuse me, a question specifically for Kevin. Given what you do for a living, your profession, do you think there will be conflicts of interest with regard to construction projects or tenders, etc.?
No, I don't think so. We're into fairly significant projects unless we're looking at a hospital or a school in the area. We did start out building small and elementary schools, but our focus is more in the high-rise residential sectors right now, and then in major cities, Canada. So we haven't bid a job in Zora Township. My first job was in Ottawa County, but in Zora Township, we wouldn't go after something of this size. Even the recent municipal center or the maintenance facility as well is not really our wheelhouse at all. And I think, you know, to add to that, like, I think I'm bringing that value, though, knowing what contractors are thinking with all the upcoming projects that may happen.
Thank you. More questions, please?
Can I ask one, Sam?
You can ask one, sure. If you keep it under a minute.
Why are you running?
Who?
All of it.
Okay, starting with.
And what motivates you to run? You're obviously doing it because you want to change. Why is this position, and why did you choose this position to run for?
Starting with him.
Thanks. Yeah, like Emily mentioned, Ward 1 is where, I guess technically by the boundaries, it's not where I grew up, but I feel like I grew up in Ward 1, so I'm a real part around Chelmsford. So when I knew that there was a position opening up, I wanted to find a way. It's been on my mind since my kids have been in school for a few years now to give back to this community. Haven't done a lot of that type of outreach in the past, and I really feel like my work experience and my drive and my energy is going to be an asset to this position. So that's what people run.
Emily, I mean, Crystal. Sorry.
Why did I run? I want to show my kids to take risks, to step outside of the box, to be positive. And when you love your community, you should just try to do all those things. I've been here since I was 4 years old, and I can't think of a better way than to represent my council.
Steve?
Well, I was born and raised in this municipality, and I've been serving for the last 4 years, and I'm running again because I thoroughly enjoyed it. I enjoy giving back to my community. And I get a sense of pride and accomplishment out of it to do. So that's the main reason.
And then.
My husband and I searched and searched for the perfect place to live, and then we landed on Zora County. And since we've been here, I have gotten myself involved in everything community because I found out that the people of this community they're just very open, very helping, and I want to give back. I'm an executive assistant by day, and I find that my organizational skills and getting things done will be an asset to being in council for Ward 1.
Thank you. Time for another question. Oh, thank you.
I'm the timer, so I can speak longer than a minute.
I just saw her say that too.
So I'd like to come back to the severance question, and specifically maybe ask Steve why they decided on 75 acres, and then ask the others what their opinion would be, whether 75 acres makes sense or not. To me, it doesn't make sense. Why would a farmer buy somebody's 100-acre farm and sever, give away 75 or sell 75 acres of it and then only keep 25? I know farms are bigger than that now, but anybody that comes out from the city or anywhere else is not looking for, usually looking for 75 acres. Even 3 acres that we have is lots for country living. So maybe if you could answer why township decided on that particular number, and the rest of you, I'd like to hear your opinions on it.
Steve?
Well, to clarify what I said, I didn't say at 75. I said you could sever the house off of a minimum 75.
Oh, I didn't catch that. only some off of 75 acres?
or more.
How much can you sell?
The house, which is all, whatever's lawn, it's not, your house and your barn are zoned differently. Different zoning regulations. And whatever's already zoned is your residence, that's it. So, and those are just to be.
Are the questions relevant, Betty?
I guess not.
Yeah.
Well, just
I misunderstood it.
to add something, it's not our townships regulations, that's county, which is down from provincial zoning. We don't make the rules, those ones, we just follow.
Oh, okay. Well, you are.
So.
Another question.
What's
I
going
just
on?
cycled the question because if the question wasn't, I would just get the next question. Not answer.
I don't understand what's going on. So- I'll ask you another question. Rhonda, why don't you ask them?
Can I just say something? Okay, I'm Rhonda with Oxford Development. So just to speak to that a little bit, so there's the agricultural policies. So Oxford County has actually recently undergone an agricultural policy review. All of that information on the policies are downloaded from the province. So Oxford County and lower tier municipalities have to take a look at those rules and regulations at the provincial level. So we went through this huge undertaking as a whole community, going through all the ag policy reviews, which included lot severance, surplus houses, what to do with these little pockets of land, townhouses, lots of feedback went into this document. It's gone back up to the province for stamp of approval. But with that came a bunch of different recommendations that Oxford County may or may not be able to adopt in future versions of our official plan. So Steve, 75 acres is right, and that's actually higher than some of the thresholds for the province. So Oxford County is really unique in that way. So anyways, I just wanted to address that because I'm talking up a bit over here. It's above municipal politics, but it has to be regulated or local level. Zone changes get approved at the local level, but anything like land severance or official plan amendments, they get table at the Oxford County table. So okay, thank you. Had to get that off the chest. Beautiful acoustics in here.
Well, the reason for the microphone is there anybody on the line?
You'd be able to hear it. There's a little light that's lighting up there.
So on the economic development side, I guess Mr. All in this area, we do work with a lot of small and growing businesses, whether they're here already or looking to invest here. You guys have obviously seen a lot of influx of population and more to come. You see the services that you have and the services you don't have. Just as interesting, is there anything in your communities of Zora that you really need and would like your economic development team to keep advocating for pointing your way? So is there any services missing that you guys think your communities trying to do?
Thank you. In a sense, Rhonda, you work for the township, don't you? Because the Rural Oxford Economic Development Corporation was created by the 5 townships.
Yeah, so we're a nonprofit organization, and our 5 stakeholders are the townships of Zora, Southwest Oxford, Norwich, East Zora, Tavistock, and Langford. Yes.
So it's time for a question.
There was one.
That was.
What services do we see are needed
Oh,
in our growing community?
okay. So you're asking what services are needed
In our growing township of Zora.
in our growing township of Zora? Okay, it's Driscoll's turn to start.
Actually, I was quite disappointed to see that our bank just closed lately. When we're talking about trying to bring density back into our small villages. a bank is a huge part of that. And in Emerald, it just closed last week, and that was disheartening to many of us. I think I've seen a lot of activity on social media looking for doctors, pharmacies, that kind of thing in our village.
Well, number one in my books is we've already arranged current council to get licensed childcare in Chelmsford. And what I want to go, if I get reelected for the next 4 years, I want to keep investing in whether we can get licensed childcare facility in Emerald.
Emily?
There's still the words right out of my mouth. I was going to say more businesses, more doctors, childcare. When I first moved here, childcare was very, very, very lacking. I couldn't find a spot for my children at all. So that would be my number one.
Yeah, along the same lines, it's been a long time since Chelmsford had a grocery store, and I know for Ward 1, anyway, there's a fairly close option to the south of Ingersoll. But to reiterate the idea of densifying and we need services that are going to support being able to live locally, shop locally, and everything like that. I think just businesses, so maybe centered into some sort of zoning area within larger communities, so we can just attract any businesses that are going to be tax-paying businesses within the municipality. Obviously, it'd be nice if they support local services or provide local services, but just having an area that we can designate as sort of industrial commercial zones within the village would be huge. Driving down Main Street, or at least Chelmsford, it's Tokyo Joe's is gone, Butcher Block is gone, or these places that are sitting empty right now. We've got to find a creative way to fill those places.
Doesn't Chelmsford need another gas station? More questions, please? I'm getting silly. Oh, Michael.
Another one. So I'm up in the northwest. I can like basically throw a snowball into Middlesex and a snowball into Perth. So how can you be relevant to me? Because even though I physically am in Zora, how can you make what the township does more relevant to those who are really, going to Stratford or going to St. Mary's?
Crystal, is your concern?
I don't know. I think that comes from and wanting to be a part of your community and diving into what we already offer.
Well, just to answer that question briefly, I mean, the whole point of having different wards and councilors, hopefully from the same words, that keeps you in the area of most local. Now, in my own part here in Ward 4, I almost grew up here in Connecticut because I had aunts and uncles up here and cousins. So I'm quite familiar with it. Same with Maplewood. And I go all the way down to Ward 1 with Gulfstream and all that. So it's trying to keep your local representation as local as possible. And sometimes you're not finding somebody in your own work or running
I would say to be available. My email's open, my phone number is open. I want to make sure that anybody who feels that they're not being heard is heard. So I'm always available and open to listen to the residents that are far out. And
I think it's like you're talking specifically geographically to some degree, and it's kind of the nature of rural communities that, to the school board candidates there talked about leaving Zora and going to St. Mary's, going to the north. So I think it's just recognizing that, with Zora, we have this boundary, but, one road over is another boundary that, it's another community that we're connected to. Whereas, London is just one big city that sprawls, and it's got its pockets too. So I think it's just recognizing that, yes, geographically you're part of this area, but that our community has strong ties to all the other surrounding rural communities.
Okay. Surely there's another question. Karen?
Okay, so Doug tells me I have to take my mask off, but I really don't want COVID. So can you hear me? So I
Yes, we
apologize
can
for
hear you.
not,
I
but
can hear you.
okay. I have a really short question here first, then I'll ask the second question now. First of all, do any of you have any direct farming experience?
Start with Steve.
Did you say direct farming?
Direct farming
I was
experience.
born and raised on a dairy farm,
Okay.
and after my father passed away, and then a couple of years later.
Quick yes or no?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, yes?
Yes, I spent every summer on my aunt's farm.
Grew up on a hobby farm, worked on all surrounding farms.
Okay.
Crystal?
Grew up on a hobby farm.
Excellent, okay, so that's good, because I was just concerned regarding, like, there's a lot of zoning exemptions and what have you required by farmers, right? So, and that's really important that we have people who understand that. Okay, the question I wanted to ask you though is, I'm a business owner in Zora Township, and I've been here in operation for 10 years. And when I started my business, I was told, like by Oxford County, that I needed to locate in a town. I needed to be in a city or town, basically outside of my own township and my own, even, well, it's within the county, but outside the township. So I talked to every single councillor at the time. I talked to the mayor, and I toured them through what I wanted to do and why, which was I wanted to have the business on our farm. It's not a farming business, but I do ag communications. And I'm not taking land out of farming, etc. So that's fine. That's all good. I did get it. They all supported me. But I'm concerned about what I heard Kevin say about concentrating things in towns, because why? Why do I have to do that? That really annoys me when I hear it. And second of all, I'd like to hear your position on what on having businesses located that are not on farms, that are not taking, I'm not taking land out of production. I'm not doing anything. I'm not causing traffic.
So what you're asking is what their position
is on having agricultural or businesses on farms that don't take land out of production, but that allow us to have more taxes. Okay. Can I just add that I pay commercial taxes, so.
Steve, you start.
Okay. I'm puzzled with what they told you that you had to get out.
Don't worry about the past.
No, I did have to get a zoning exemption.
No, I'm all for all businesses to open up as a part of the farm, on the farm, but part of property that's already without taking ag land out of position. I mean, I don't know what the qualifications for small businesses, but yeah, I'm all for it.
I don't see a problem with having a business on a farm, having a 2-in-1 area, but I also do not know any of the policies behind it. I would have to investigate to give you a clear and accurate answer. Okay.
Yeah, and to be clear, I have nothing against the idea of businesses in rural areas or on farms at all. The services, local in-town services I'm talking about are to support walking distance services that are available, like grocery stores. But there is still value, I think, in addition to rural businesses that are in rural locations to attract more businesses. And one way to do that would be to try a set of areas where we can drive a business.
We're not arguing that. I'm just talking about being increasing our tax base.
Karen.
I agree. I don't see a problem with you having business on your farm, aside from not using any agriculture. And again, I agree with the density in town. We need banks, grocery stores, that kind of thing.
So if you want to continue, you can talk to them afterwards.
Yeah, no, that's good. That was my question. Thank you.
Brenda, did you have a question? This is the last question before sum up.
Hi, my name is Brenda Franz, and I live in the suburbs of Harrington. I have a question. I'm a member of the Zora Heritage Committee, which is relatively new to the township. And we would like to know, if you are elected, what tangible steps you might take to see that Zora's heritage is preserved and publicly recognized.
That's for everybody?
Yes.
We'll start with Emily.
I absolutely love history. The first thing that I did when we moved to town was buy historical albums because I bought a historical house. It's the old funeral home in Emerald. And I absolutely loved seeing our page and reading up about similar questions. It's just amazing. So I'm huge into preserving buildings, especially, my gosh, look at this building that we're in. These are beautiful things that we preserve that we can use in the community. I take time to visit local sites, learn more about the importance of things. I would love to visit and learn more about Zora's history. I used to do that when I lived in Elmira. So it's fun.
Yeah, along the same lines, I definitely enjoy the history of this area, just being that we grew up here. You know, I know council's taken some great steps already in the past, just with the asset naming policies that have been put in place, because that's a way of preserving and highlighting some of the history of this area. I think that's the perfect platform to keep building upon. I'm ashamed to say I've never been in the Beachfield Museum, or if I did, it was before I could remember. But I'd like to definitely explore that and sort of see in addition, you know, how else we can sort of promote that as well.
Crystal?
I think preserving and awareness is exactly what we need. And with the Beachfield Museum, I would love to see our schools come out and utilize that, like we do with our conservation area. The schools are free to go to it, and I think it would be great if we could educate our kids in the museum of stuff that we have. I think our Caledonians are doing a great job. Again, educating everybody of the past and junior farmers, the Legion. We need to help those guys out as much as we can.
Thank you. Steve?
Yeah, well, the Beachfield District Museum is at the forefront of that for what we as a municipality can do to preserving history. And we also give small grants, or the council or the township gives small grants to various organizations to help them along. But when you stumble into the territory of preserving old buildings, old things, the township can't go to a private individual and say, no, you can't do that to your old barn, your old style, and this won't fly. So the museum supporting other community groups that are doing this stuff is the best way to do it, the best avenue to do it, and we are doing that.
Great. Now it's time to sum up, and we're going to go back. So Kevin, so.
Perfect. I'll be quick. I just want to thank everybody for coming. This has been very engaging for sure. There's a lot of interest, especially it seems like this Harrington community as well. And my one advice for my kid going tonight was just have fun. I didn't really expect him to come up with that as an 8-year-old, but it has been fun. And yeah, I feel like I will bring a lot to this role. I need to give back to Zora Township, and I have the capabilities to.
I just wanted to start off by saying thank you to everyone for coming out tonight and everyone involved in putting this night together. You guys did a great job. I know I may be into this, but I really love Zora, and I want to do all I can to see this community prosper. I'm the kind of person who gets things done. As an executive assistant and mother of 3 in my everyday, I'm an expert when it comes to hard work and dedication. I want to make sure Ward 1 is heard. I will not be a seat filler. I am here to work hard for the residents of Ward 1.
Well, thanks everyone for looking up listening to me. No, it's been my privilege to serve for the past 4 years, and I'm really looking forward to serve for another 4. It's so enjoying. And the big thing is, number one, you're never going to hear me say, I accomplished this because I haven't done anything all on my own. I'm part of a team which is a well-oiled machine in its last 4 years, and I'm tired. I would hope to be able to continue being a part of that well-oiled machine. So I thank everybody for coming out, and I look forward to your support.
Crystal.
I would like to say thank you to everyone as well for coming out and having us here tonight. Thank you for bringing up your topics and opinions and giving us questions to answer. If anybody has any questions, I am a phone call away.
So thank you. So this is the end of the period where we've heard from 9 people who are totally applying for a job. They don't know what's going to happen, and they won't know until late on October the 24th. 4 of them are not going to be elected to whatever position they're running for. We don't know who that 4 is. But I wanted to point out this fellow over here, the chair of the Harrington Area Community Association. 4 years ago, he was at the table here, and he was calling unsuccessful, called Harrington lucky. Just whoever you 4 are, please take the energy that you brought to running and keep it in the community and help make us richer. You all do. Thank you very much. One more round of people with a less uncertain future.
Sorry? I gotta go to the bathroom. It's everything set up. Yep. Yep. As soon as you start. Yep. Make sure it's going.
So hopefully these people don't need to be introduced because everybody was so happy with the job that they've been doing that they're making them keep on trying to get it right. I have to point out that the person who's going first, and we're doing this in alphabetical order by surname, she tried to usurp that by changing her last name. But we're still first in the alphabet. As before, 1 minute introduction, questions, and then a minute for closure. Katie.
Terrified about Val. So last time I was here 4 years ago, I was Katie Davies. I changed my name to Greg, but I'm still the same policymaker. I moved to Chelmsford 14 years ago, where I now live with my partner and our 3 children. 1 in high school at IUCI and 2 at Chelmsford Public School. 1 that just started junior kindergarten last week. I got to know and connect with the community through a variety of volunteer opportunities. And I'm passionate about community building and drawn to public service, which led to me running for council in 2018. I began my first term of council with my 2-week-old son, in tow. I was 8 months pregnant at the last debate here at Harrington Hall, so if you don't recognize me, it's probably because I look a little bit different. And now I'm honored to be acclaimed for a second term. A little bit, I was excited for a bit of a race, but having watched the candidates go ahead of us, I'm a little bit more comfortable up here, not having the same pressure.
I've coming to the end of my first term on council for volunteer firefighter for 37 years. And I've lived in the township for about 40, and then wife and I have a farm, and she does catering business. She's much more well known than I am. Also, the last 4 years, I've served on the board of directors for the Upper Thames River Conservation Authority, representing Zora, and I attended HACA meetings, both as a kind of a resource for HACA, because they run this building up here on behalf of the township, and they run the conservation area, and they hired a couple of towns. Anybody that's watched a council meeting knows that I'm a marathon speaker, not a sprinter. So a 1 minute answer is going to be a challenge for me, but I'll do the best.
Oh, you did well with the intro.
So, you know, my motivation in this job is that the stereotype is that people always say you can't fight at City Hall and nobody can get anything done, you can't change anything. But my personal experience has been quite the exact opposite. Our community's done great things. We've stopped school closures, we stopped high-speed rail in our community, and we stopped landfill that our community didn't want. And we've also built great things. We've built splash pads in our communities through community fundraising. We've committed to build and are almost finished our first building using 100% renewable energy. That's also going to cost us all less as taxpayers. And now I've just recently committed to building a new municipal office in Chelmsford that's going to use 100% renewable energy. That's going to cost us less as taxpayers and is going to provide immediate space, less childcare, and all that for less money than a neighboring municipality just did for a building that is larger, doesn't have the childcare, and doesn't have the renewable energy. And all of those things were done with 7 of the last 8 budgets that I participated in, because I'm also not only our attention here, but Oxford County Councillor. 7 of those 8 budgets were all came in below inflation. The only one that didn't. They get suspense on the one.
So questions or comments? Allison.
Hello, I'm Alison Hayes. Outside of what you mentioned in your introductions, what do you hope to achieve in the next 4 years? And I would like to hear from all of you.
We'll start with Paul.
One thing that's in the strategic plan I put forward that didn't get completed that time is a realignment of fire service response, so that not only within Zora Township, but within North neighboring townships. To me, if you live in Maplewood, it doesn't make sense to get your responses from Edenville and Enbridge shifting from Tavistock. So I want to break down those boundaries and work with the fire chief to make sure that anybody gets response from the nearest possible station.
Marcus?
I sort of have 2 lists because I wear 2 hats and actually like doing 2 jobs, or a township job and an Oxford County job. The number 1 item on both those lists though is housing. Housing from a whole bunch of perspectives. First of all, there's a lot of people who are unhoused. For instance, on my road, 23rd line, Gravel Road, almost as far as London Township, about as rural as it gets. There's homeless people on my road. So that's how bad this problem is in Oxford County and Thorpe Township. That's the number 1 item on both of those lists. There's other issues though, larger issues of a community safety and well-being plan that we need to address to make sure that everybody in the community feels that they can participate, they have a role to play in the community. That's going to help us address some of those homelessness issues, but it's also going to help us get more people step forward to run for school board trustee, to run for local councils. We need all the voices that we can step forward and do that. And the number 1 issue that was identified in the community safety and well-being plan was that people didn't feel included in the community. That was their number 1 area to their issues. 100% renewable energy, I think, is another big one.
All right, that timer comes really quick. So the affordable housing, absolutely. Building healthy communities, absolutely. I think another piece that sort of builds off of that is to continue to improve pedestrian safety and encourage bike usage. We have some new pathways and trails in Zora Township, and we have some new crosswalks, but that work is absolutely not done. And I'd like to see that pedestrian usage is more integrated in our planning processes, so that as we're doing new developments and modifications to our existing communities, that we can make them more user friendly. I think, I mean, it's not really popular to think about because we just talked about some expensive projects on the go, but we need to start some conversations about the redevelopment of the Tubbsford District Recreation Center. It's not a project for this term, but if we're going to do it effectively in the future, we have to start planning for what that could look like, what some financial partners could be, and how we're going to finance it.
Great. You want to follow up, Allison? Sure. Yeah. Any more questions, please? Oh, Michael.
We have no one else has one. So, what are some, what are your biggest lessons learned over the past 4 years, and how will you take that forward and do something different?
Marcus is doing this.
I think the biggest lesson I think that I've learned, you're saying specifically in the last 4 years?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to cheat a little bit and say that it's the same lesson I think got me involved in politics and government in the first place, and that is that a lot more can be achieved than people think can be achieved. I think that specifically in this last term of council, I've been fortunate to be on a council with some really hard-working councillors, really good thinkers, and we achieved things that I personally came to the table wanting to achieve, but we actually did better than I thought we were going to, than I thought we could. And I had my doubts at some time that whether those things were going to be achieved. I honestly did. And in the end, through those challenges, we actually did better. For instance, I'm thinking primarily about the Zora maintenance facility. That building is going to be in fact better than I hoped that it would be, and that was partially because of the challenges that I think we experienced as a council in trying to make that decision.
So I've definitely learned to take a step back when I'm looking at a problem. So when I first started in this role 4 years ago, I was incredibly green. My background is in fine arts. I ran a small business. It's not politics, it's what I would think is the polar opposite, but that creative problem solving is what I wanted to bring to this table. Having said that, at the beginning, I was trying to solve small problems, and over the last 4 years, I've really learned how to take a wider look and look at some of those sort of systemic pieces that build that foundation for that problem, which then gives me better ideas about some broader policy change that can help solve that problem in a sustainable way.
Aside from the basics of zoning bylaws and how to work with our staff and whatnot, and listening to the questions of the candidates, I realized how much I've learned in the last 4 years, because I was thinking, I got the answer to that question, but I didn't know the answer 4 years ago. So there's the basics of being on council and what the role of the council is. But I've also learned how to work with the other members on council to put forward the issues that I think are important, how to draft a motion, how to get support for that motion, how to speak at length in favor of that motion, and how to work with my colleagues, Ron, who's retired and sitting at the back and enjoying this more than anybody in the room. Steve, the mayor who gives us the length to do it, and my good colleague over here, I've never had her sit to the right of me before. She is hours to the left.
I have another one, if I could.
Oh,
no,
that goes
no,
first.
no, my.
Here we go again. So if there was a town that was neighboring the municipality that wanted to annex some land, would you go along with that?
My turn.
in this hypothetical situation that I know nothing of this nature, we are a rural municipality, and I mean, the discussion is no different than when we were talking about the landfill. Our farmland, that is our heart and soul. I represent Chelmsford, the metropolis of Zora, Chelmsford, but we are an agricultural community, and that is our prime economic driver, and it's who we are. So no, we're keeping our farmland in production. We have shown through the leadership of previous council what is possible with infill. The Cold Springs and so other municipalities can learn from us. They can do creative thinking to keep our farmland safe and keep the development densified. It's also smart for their asset management.
Let me carry on. We've set the example with infill, the Cold Springs Relief Project. We approved a apartment building on the former lawn bowling property in Chelmsford. Those sort of things. The earlier panel talked about going up. The limit now is 3 stories. I'm going to be happy to go to 6 if it's in the proper location. So if we give up land, it's farmland, and the rural or the urban municipalities just can't be, because they need to grow, that they need to eat up our farmland. So no, I would be against the proposal to in a hypothetical or realistic situation if somebody wants to take part.
Hard no. Zora's been a leader in doing that, as you well know, for a number of years, and I certainly think we should continue with that policy. As your Oxford County Councillor, I brought a motion to Oxford County Council, and I think it was May or June, asking for a report from planning staff on how Oxford could accommodate its growth projections without boundary adjustments for service villages. That would include Woodstock, Ingersoll, and Tillsburg, but it would also include Chelmsford, Edinburgh, I think Tavistock, maybe. I don't know if that's relevant to your question or not. So hard no.
Allison Hayes again. County does, I think. I don't know about the township. Does the township, does Zora have any conservation land that it manages or parks that it manages? Or is that just the county, or does the county? I'm curious. I mean, I know we've got the Upper Thames, but that's a separate entity, but that's the township or the county actually? And whoever can answer that.
Well, the question is, anyone you can answer the question.
So Zora Township does have one forest that it owns and manages. Oxford County has several managed forests that we own. But in terms of parks, the only parks that the township owns are the parks in the settlement areas. And then beyond that, the conservation areas or parks are all owned, and with the exception of Harrington, operated entirely by the Thames River Conservation.
Okay, and where is the forest? Zora Township Forest?
Trying to think how. Roads at 43, right? It's way down 43.
How big is it? I don't know. I'm curious.
In acres, I don't know. Like, it's got to be 50, 60 acres at least, anyway. I think.
Okay.
It's not a public space for people to go to. It's a natural forest.
Exactly.
But, yeah.
Great. Okay. Good. Thank you.
Allison, if you want, you can contact me later. I'll give you the exact info. If frankly, if you just contact staff, that'd be the exact answer.
Thank you.
More questions? Even questions of fact? These guys aren't on the hot seat.
For the record, I did not know the answer to that question. I was unaware of that forest. And especially saying that out loud for the candidates who are up for election, you're watching this thinking they've got all the answers. I didn't have the answer to that one.
So we have a lot of gravel roads, and I don't think are there any plans to pave more roads, or, because you drive some other counties, you have a lot more paved roads. Do you have any more plans to do that?
Well, that's a question of fact again. So the.
One of the first things that we did when, in our term council was develop a road plan. We had outside, engineers take a look at all our roads in great detail. And then with our, head of public works, Steve Oliver, we came up with a long-term plan. And it's all laid out there when we're going to do work on each road. And, we've seen significant work, Road 92, the main street of Lakeside, Road 96, in this particular area. But to answer your question, I don't believe that in the near term, we're going to be paving any roads. Sometimes you have to be careful what you want, what you ask for, because although we also developed a traffic management plan, paved road, it's more traffic and gets faster traffic. And there's also a huge cost involved in paving roads and maintaining.
I wanted to stay gravel, that's my, yeah.
Okay.
More questions? Want to hear them sum up? Okay, so we're going to let Marcus go last because the mayor gets the last word. So Paul, you go first, please.
One of the most significant things that happened in municipal government the last 4 years is that all our council meetings are now live streamed and recorded on YouTube. So everybody can attend a council meeting from anywhere at any time, which gives you the opportunity to not only become more aware of what the issues are, but you can also grade us and see who's doing what, who's asking the tough questions, who's bringing forward the motions, who's making good arguments. And some of you can use that information in the next month. All of you can use that information over the next 4 years and determine whether you know somebody or you are somebody who can do a better job than any of us. There may be different faces and different voices up here in 4 years' time. So I would urge you all to take, if you haven't done it so far, you may find it interesting, and it may help with any insomnia you have, but please take it advantage of the opportunity. Lesson of 2.5 years.
All right, I've had 3 different things I was going to say, and it keeps changing the longer I sit up here. You know, we're sitting here acclaimed, and I wondered, is it because I've done such a great job in this role, or is it because the role has such significant challenges that nobody wanted it? And the reality is it's probably a little bit of both, but I am incredibly proud of the work that I've been able to accomplish over the last 4 years. There's nothing that any individual member of council is able to do. Everything is a majority, so we do have to work collaboratively together to get to the right decision-making point. So I've won some, I've lost some, but I've brought a lot of motions to council to bring potential solutions forward to the problems that I see impacting residents. And so whether it's by good performance or by you know, just nobody else wanting it, I'm really looking forward to the next 4 years and excited to continue working, although I haven't stopped. Thank you.
So I'm going to exercise my prerogative again and put the timekeepers on notice. Please don't time the next speaker because I want to judge his capacity for telling how much people can stand after me.
Okay, that's a unique challenge. To me, the key issues going forward into this term are the same at a high level for both the township and the county. And that is that we need to move forward in 3 respects: financial assessment of all issues that are before us, opportunities and challenges, environmental aspects, and social aspects of everything. And we need to weigh all 3 of those. In industry, that's known as a triple bottom line approach. And I think that this council has slowly been sort of migrating towards that kind of assessment of issues. I think our county council has had challenges this term, let's say, and is farther behind. But I would really like us to see that carry forward. We've made some really amazing decisions this term as our council, where we've done some things that that have ticked all those boxes and really moved us forward. And we've certainly seen I really feel, especially with these two, I have to say, I was gonna not say it, but I can't not say it, especially with these two on council, we have done amazing things. The debates that we've have been hard fought and have literally ended up in better decisions for everybody in the township. And I think there's immense potential for us to keep doing things like, building a new municipal center that is going to cost us less money than the one we're in now, and is going to use 100% renewable energy, and is going to provide 98-space childcare. I never would have thought that was going to happen at the beginning of this term of council. We achieved more than I had hoped we could have possibly achieved, and it was because of the kind of debates that we had there. So I want us to continue to move forward for looking at those kinds of opportunities, and when the challenges come our way, I think we need to assess them in the same way with that triple bottom line approach of financial, environmental, social assessment of all those issues. I could hardly be more excited for that challenge at both different challenge at Zora Township Council than at County Council, but I'm looking forward to both of those challenges.
Thank you. From our active thread.
Well, thanks all. So first of all, thank all of you for running for position. Thank all of you for serving, those who have. And I want to thank all of you for coming here and making this all happen. I ran for council, and we got a better councilor than I would be. But I learned something about that and brought me here to find involvement at another level. I often get frustrated when I turn on the TV or read way too much news, which I like to do. Well, nothing changes, it never changes, but it does and it can. In the short time that I've been here, I realized we can make a difference at this local level. I don't know if you realize, but this hall, the town owns it, they allow us as an organization, a bunch of volunteers to run and manage it. Conservation Authority. We run and manage a bunch of volunteers. We can make a difference, and I guess that gets motivates you more. So I encourage all of you over here. There's committees to be involved in, local committees. We have a heritage committee. I have to chair that one too. There was a policing committee. Now, and there was others, but the town is trying something called task force. So there's a task force and cultural mapping. Our heritage committee is doing some heritage mapping, but it's kind of a cool thing. What do we have out here? What's here? And then, but the township has grabbed that and are doing that. So there's a way to get involved. The idea of a task force, a shorter bit of involvement, we'll go down the committee, you don't have a life for 4 years, that kind of thing. Let's stop that. And even if you do want to get involved, don't be afraid of getting dragged into stuff, because you can get in as much or as little as you want. I think I asked the other folks running for council, what can you do for those of us out in the hinterlands? Well, actually, you did that by coming. You already had answered that question by being here, getting involved, and taking your time to come here and speak to us. So thank you for doing that. We're doing another event in Thamesford on October 13th in the BD room, I believe, at the library. So another event like this, and that'll be similar in nature. I'd like to thank the Harrington Community Association members, particularly Brenda, as things advertised. There's a Nancy to the back there in the hall. Our timekeepers over there, thank you. Give them the hand of the timekeepers. And also, isn't he amazing, this guy? Yeah. Who is this? Just get things going and has this gentle way of drawing things out of us. But he does have a deep belief in democracy. And this is where democracy happens, right here, right now. And I'm so excited to be part of it. Thank you for coming. Have a great night. There's some more cookies. Stick around and have some fun talk with our members and those who still want to be away. Thank you again. Have a good night. Oh, I can stop the screen too.